I think Michael Jackson brought his death upon himself because he was addicted to drugs, painkillers, sleeping medications, all the above, because he begged his doctor to be prescribed. But I don't think he was really in the limelight currently, so I don't know what his problem was.
I think that the media definitely blew up his death. They could be talking about anything. There were so many other things that were going on, like all around the world. At every channel you turned to, anything was Michael Jackson, everything. It was all over the place. I don't know. I can't say like a time frame, but like maybe just not as frequently. They blew it up way too much. Like every single day, like every hour, you couldn't get away from it. I don't know like a time period though.
I think he was overdosed. I think that the doctor put in too much because he requested it. And, I mean, it's everyone uses it for, like, most anesthesiologists use it. I think it's propanol or something like that. It's a commonly used drug, but I think Michael requested it, and because they were personal, I guess, friends or acquaintances, and he was his personal doctor, he gave him what he asked for, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was definitely on the doctor's part. I believe it was malpractice, and that he did prescribe more than Michael asked for, or Michael could have been in a state where he was not fully understanding like what he wanted or desired.
Why do you think he was in that state? What brought him to that state?
Well, I mean, after the toxicology report came back and they saw what medication had been in his body at the time, you'd think naturally that there's no way he could have thought the right way or what he needed. So honestly, it could have been on the doctor's part, which I think it was, and really he was misguided. So
I think he was out for the money, out to get what he can get from Michael Jackson.
Well, they did say his salary was very big, so he definitely it was definitely great on his part, to be there with Michael. But I just think that he could have. He abused.
I think it was coming to him indirectly just because of his fame, and people didn't like that really.
What do you mean by people like not liking it? Like the negative attention that was focused on him throughout the years?
He was so popular, and then like if he didn't do necessarily what everybody wanted him to do, that they didn't like that and they just wanted to get rid of him. He wasn't giving the people what they wanted. So, and he was so popular and so powerful by being like a pop icon that people just didn't want him around anymore. Because he was like, when they said when he died he was healthy. Yeah.
He was young. I think he was like 50.
He was like 50, and he was getting ready to do a tour. And then all of a sudden he died. It was kind of weird.
I think it was just like his death came from up above. All like the bad he's done in his life. I believe that he's, they say he hasn't, but he's probably slept with little kids and stuff and done a lot of terrible stuff, Just the way he's conducted himself. I just think, he just had his death, his untimely death.
You thought it was coming for him? Do you think that if the tour was to happen, it would have benefited him? Or just the negative attention would have ended up following him in the end after everything?
Yeah, I think it would have been like, it would have looked good. Tour would have probably went through. All the money and recognition would have probably went to his head again, and probably more terrible acts would have followed. Just because everyone, he was such an icon. People were making money off his death at his funeral, like his father. Of course, this movie is just gonna all go to his family.
Right.
And a lot of people love him from the past generation and our generation. I think so many different people going to see that movie. It's going to be huge.
I think he had a drug problem, unfortunately, and I think that his depression probably made him use these drugs. But it was like he was a legal drug addict.
Right.
And he surrounded himself around doctors and nurses that would enhance that. I can't think of the word.
Addiction.
And I think it's not only that. I think a lot of things from his childhood also snowballed into what happened. I don't know. I think it's a hard question to answer. I think he had an addiction before the cases, any of those, like the child molestation and all that. And I really think he was innocent.
Yeah.
I definitely think. I don't think he did any.
I think it was just his childhood,
I think,
the way he grew up, and sometimes you can mistake things that are just innocent.
Yeah.
That, you know, he was like a grown man, like in a little kid in a grown man's mind.
He never grew up as a
And he didn't have anybody to really teach him or raise him right. So,
Right.
you know, of course, we look at that and then we just condemn him for everything. You know, once you hear one bad thing, that's it.
Yeah.
The paparazzi killed him.
Definitely.